Khazanah Research Institute has debunked the stereotype that Gen Y and Z job seekers are a choosy lot who demand unrealistic starting salaries. According to its study on the employment market for youths, young workers aged 15 to 29 years are actually earning below their reservation income. This refers to the lowest wage rate at which they would be willing to accept for a particular type of job, which, according to KRI, is on average 1,550 ringgit. KRI says this suggests that young job seekers are prepared to accept lower salaries just so that they have jobs. Additionally, the study also shows that most young workers in unskilled and low-skilled jobs are overqualified for their roles. KRI argues that Malaysia should therefore aim for a living wage policy to ensure a fair, decent wage linked to an acceptable standard of living instead of minimum wage, which is the basic level that keeps a worker above the poverty line. The World Bank says Malaysia is well on its way to cross the threshold into high-income and developed country status in the coming years. Vice President for East Asia and Pacific, Victoria Kwakwa, says Malaysia's economy is well diversified and stands on solid foundations, which are primed to take the country to the next level. She says the World Bank welcomes Putrajaya's efforts to strengthen institutions, develop human capital and protect the vulnerable in the society. The institution stands ready to support Malaysia during this important transition process. Malaysia previously aimed to reach high-income status by 2020. However, according to the midterm review of the 11th Malaysia Plan, the ambition will only be realised in 2024. This is based on official estimates, which put GDP growth at between 4.5 and 5.5% per annum from 2018 to 2020. Former Prime Minister Dato Sri Najib Razak and ex-1MDB President and CEO Kandasamy have both pleaded not guilty to charge of tampering with 1MDB's final audit report. Najib is accused of using his position to protect himself from criminal, civil or regulatory action by issuing the order to scrub the report before it was presented to the PAC. Arul, who helmed the fund from 2015 to June this year, is accused of abetting the former Prime Minister. If found guilty, they would each face up to 20 years imprisonment and a fine of no less than 5 times the amount of gratification. They were released on bail of 500,000 ringgit each. Last month, Auditor General Tan Sri Madinah Mohamad revealed that the 1MDB audit report had been tampered with. The key amendments include the removal of paragraphs mentioning Loh Teck Joe's attendance at a board meeting, as well as the existence of 2 versions of 1MDB's financial statements for the year ending 2014. PNB-controlled MIDF is said to be mulling a merger with a local arm of Saudi Arabia's Al-Rajhi bank as it seeks to become a universal Islamic lender. Citing sources, Bloomberg reports the potential merger would expand the scope of MIDF's business and give the firm the right to take deposits. It went on to say that the deal could create an entity with combined net assets of about 1.5 to 2.5 billion ringgit, depending on the structure of the transaction. Both parties are still in the early stages of deliberation and would need approval from Bank Negara to formally start detailed negotiations. According to Reuters' source, there is no certainty the discussions will lead to a transaction. Bloomberg points out that should the deal happen, Al-Rajhi would become at least the second foreign-backed Islamic bank to merge its Malaysian operations with a local financial institution. This is after Malaysia Building Society bought Asian Finance Bank last year. Former Federal Territory Minister Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansor has been charged again for accepting a 2 million ringgit bribe from a developer for land deals involving KL City Hall. He is accused of taking the sum from Asset Kayamas founder Tan Sri Chai Kin Kong, despite the fact that the firm had official dealings with his ministry at the time. The Putrajaya MP and former UMNO Sekjen pleaded not guilty. The case has been fixed for mention on January 7, 2019. Kunan had claimed trial to the same charge last month, as well as to another charge of taking a 1 million ringgit bribe from another property tycoon, Dato Tan Eng Boon. However, Deputy Public Prosecutor Julia Ibrahim had asked for a discharge not amounting to an acquittal, as the prosecution wanted separate trials for the 2 cases.